Thank you for joining JTV News. I'm Peter Gay Coombs. Here are the headlines. New online bank to the BVI's rescue. Auditor General appointed after nearly 2-year vacancy. Beauty merger. It's just pageant economics.
As it stands right now, sponsors have minimized their budget. It's a tough economy right now, and you're competing as separate organizations for the same sponsorship.
In hot trends, Tortola Pier Park gets jazzy.
We wanted to create a signature event that would, be something that we hold annually, and that persons can come and enjoy music and musical entertainment, not just on a local platform, but on an international platform.
The big story this week, easing the strain on businesses in the BVI.
We recognize over the past year and a half, there has been an onslaught of new fees, proposed increases, and as you begin to add it up, we recognize, is this sustainable?
In Caribbean news, plane with New York family goes missing in the Bahamas. Antiguans take a stand against the gun factory proposal, and Caymanians to vote on May 24. In our Medical Minute segment, did you know that cigarette smoking is the #1 preventable cause of death? Dr. Geronimo Jones tells us more in our Mayo Clinic Medical Minute. The details of these and much more on the other side of this break.
This is us. This is how we work. This is how we play. This is how we live. This is us. This is how we flow.
Welcome back to JTV News. The British Virgin Islands' newest financial institution, Bank of Asia BVI Limited, is expected to be online this year. That disclosure was made to Bloomberg News by Carson Wen, founder and chairman of the BVI's soon-to-be newest banking institution. In reference to the correspondent banking crisis, which has severely impacted the banking relationships of several financial institutions and companies in the Caribbean, and particularly the BVI, the Bloomberg article entitled "Caribbean Haven Plans New Bank for China Billions Flow" starts out stating that, quote, "The global campaign against money laundering combined with the Panama Papers made the Caribbean islands of sun, sand, and offshore banking a near no-go zone for the world's biggest banks," end quote. The article continues further that the BVI solution is a bank to service offshore companies, many of them from China, that have been locked out of the global banking system by banks such as HSBC Holdings plc and Standard Chartered plc. The Bank of Asia BVI, an online financial institution, aims to target 200,000 of the over 400,000 companies in the territory who have been stymied in obtaining bank accounts. In that interview with Bloomberg, Bank of Asia BVI founder and chairman Carson Wen shared that the idea came about when Premier and Finance Minister Dr. D. Orlando Smith asked Wen for help when the two had dinner in Hong Kong in 2014. Wen charges that, quote, "We have a captive client market of all these offshore companies that have had difficulties opening bank accounts, not for their own fault, but because the legacy banks have stopped wanting them. We're helping China solve the problem that Chinese companies want their ability to remit money and do offshore banking. That's our captive market, meaning that people have nowhere else to go. They have to come to us," end quote. According to Bloomberg, the Bank of Asia BVI aims to be a landing place for money leaving China, while helping to restore a dwindling source of revenue for the BVI, which depends on incorporations for half of its budget. Bank of Asia BVI is the 7th for the BVI and the first to be licensed in 20 years. When also confirmed to Bloomberg that the BVI government had required $100 million in paid-in capital, but he was able to negotiate that requirement to $38 million because the institution will operate online. The Bank of Asia BVI founder and chairman further states that the launch of its operations has been delayed by BVI regulatory approval of its digital technology. Bloomberg says according to Hong Kong exchange filings, the money behind the Bank of Asia comes from a Beijing-based internet video producer and mobile phone lottery company V1 Group Limited and Wen's Sankos Financial Holdings. Meanwhile, Elise Donovan, director of the BVI House Asia in Hong Kong, told Bloomberg that the bank's license was approved, adding that 2/5 of BVI company incorporations are from Asia, and the bank's opening means the BVI can continue to support its endeavors in the region. Cooper Island resident, 38-year-old James Leonard Sr. was found floating in the waters of Cooper Island on Wednesday, May 17, and was pronounced dead at the People's Hospital the same day. According to police report, Visar and police were summoned to the area and upon arrival made attempts to resuscitate Leonard, but to no avail. It is our information that persons who were in the area at the time went to Leonard's aid ahead of the arrival of Visar. They reported that he had a gaping wound to the back of his head, which they suggest resulted from him colliding with the propeller of his boat. Persons were in the vicinity who claimed they saw Leonard fall off his boat. However, the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force did not confirm this information, but stated that investigations are ongoing. About 2 weeks after Augustus Gus Jaspert was named as the successor to Governor John Duncan, another major appointment has been released, in this instance for the post of Auditor General. He is Mr. Phil Sharman, United Kingdom national, who will be sitting in the government of the British Virgin Islands as the Auditor General effective August 2017. Governor John S. Duncan made this appointment under Section 92, subsection 1 and Section 92, subsection 4 of the Virgin Islands Constitution, and acting in accordance with the advice of the Public Service Commission and after consultation with the Premier of the Virgin Islands, Dr. D. Orlando Smith. Mr. Sharman will audit the government's accounts produced by the Treasury Department, inquire into and audit the financial records of government departments and ministries, plus statutory boards and trusts to evaluate compliance with financial legislation and regulations. The Auditor General also serves as an advisory member of the Public Accounts Committee, PAC. Mr. Sharman is currently the statutory chief auditor for the UK Overseas Territory of St. Helena. He is a chartered public finance accountant with extensive experience as a statutory external auditor. He fills the post of Auditor General, which has been vacant since the retirement of Sonia Webster in September 2015. The statement from the government announcing Mr. Sharman's appointment says comprehensive recruitment rounds followed the vacancy on 3 separate occasions to identify the best suited candidate. Pageants have become an in thing here in the British Virgin Islands, growing in numbers over the years. Of them all, the Miss BVI, which sponsors the Queen for the Miss Universe and Miss BVI World, and are the largest. Local franchise holders for these pageants have decided to merge and have one pageant this year. Kathy Richards has more details.
In 2016, Erica Cricky represented the BVI at the Miss Universe pageant after being crowned Miss BVI 2016-2017, and Cadia Turnbull represented at the Miss World pageant. Now for this year, it is very likely that only one girl will be going up for both international pageants. This is as a result of the franchise holders taking the decision to merge and have one pageant, which will be staged during the 2017 Emancipation Festival celebrations on Tortola. The franchises merged as of May 16 and operates under the Miss British Virgin Islands pageant banner, with Janet Bryn as chairperson and Damien Grange of Miss World as co-chairperson, while Miss Alicia Ham of Miss Universe BVI will help prepare the queens for the Miss Universe pageant. The rationale behind this move is explained by Mr. Grange.
The rationale is a no-brainer. We need to ensure that we can guarantee the sustainability and also enhance the quality of pageantry in the Virgin Islands. And I believe that merging the organizations, Miss BVI, Miss Universe, and Miss World, will only improve on the quality that we are able to produce, both in the production of a show and also the quality of young ladies that we will now recruit in order to go off to represent the Virgin Islands. They will now be competing against the best of the best. Therefore, you would only have the best girl going off, increasing our chances in the international pageants. As it stands right now, sponsors have minimized their budget. It's a tough economy right now, and you're competing as separate organizations for the same sponsorship. And so I think with the merger, we are now able to go to our sponsors as one organization, and they may be able to do more now that we have united as one.
While the ultimate goal is to have one girl represent the territory at both the Miss Universe and the Miss World pageants, there is a very likelihood that this can change.
As it is right now, the winner will represent the territory at both pageants. Now, because dates in the international pageants are sometimes unpredictable and you may overlap, the first runner will also go through the same level of preparation. In the event the dates overlap, then the first runner will represent the territory at whichever pageant that would be overlapping at that point.
The public gets to see the girls for the first time on show on Saturday, May 21 at the official launch at the Tortola Pier Park. As for the prizes, a first-time custom-made crown will be featured along with a brand new Toyota Yaris, among others. With this JTV News report, I'm Kathy Richards.
The CEO and Director General of the Caribbean Hotel and Tourism Association, CHTA, Frank Comito, was the guest speaker at the BVI-CHA's luncheon on May 16. He explained why there has been a major shift in the consumer market for accommodation, particularly using the sharing economy, which was given impetus by the 2008 recession. The sharing economy is an economic model which allows persons to borrow or rent the assets of others inexpensively. Now, this economic model is nothing new, but what has allowed it to take off are lucrative online ventures such as Uber and Airbnb. Now, the sharing economic model is not without its critics who are of the view that it is in need of regulation. But as the Director General of the Caribbean Hotel and Tourism Association says, is the sharing economy more a threat or an opportunity?
You can't blame the sharing economy. You can't blame folks that are renting out their home. They're meeting a demand that exists out there, and they're taking advantage of an opportunity that exists for them. Let's take the two most common areas of sharing economy: car sharing and home sharing. Who's really predominantly driving it? At the bottom there, you're seeing the age categories. And that bluish one with the biggest one there, those are millennials. And you're seeing it in that predominant 44 years and younger. That's where it's at. 79% of travelers want to explore a specific neighborhood. We're looking for experiences. And we as hoteliers need to understand that. So 91% of the travelers want to live like a local. 74% of Airbnb properties are outside of the main hotel districts.
The CHTO CEO and Director General asserts that the opportunities to be tapped from Airbnb are definitely greater than the threats, highlighting that while occupancy levels at Airbnb accommodations are rapidly climbing, they tend to be less than those of hotels. However, their sheer numbers can be of great utility for airlift and new market access.
What I love about the sharing economy is there's a tremendous opportunity for greater local ownership of the tourism industry. But it's also the practicality and almost the humane side of it, making sure that our people in the region, our indigenous people, are more active, engaged, beneficial stakeholders in the tourism industry. What better way can we grow and protect and develop our industry by making that happen? And sharing economy is a tool for doing that. It's an opportunity to capture new markets and broaden destination market appeal, strengthen linkages in community tourism, an opportunity for hotels to assess market shift and adapt a little over a year ago. And if you look at the BVI, at that point, I believe you had 603 Airbnb listings at that point. Your licensed hotel rooms are what? About 1,500, 2,000, something like that? Even though they don't have the same occupancy levels at an Airbnb property that a hotel has, it's still inventory. And it helps. What we're not doing right now as a region is even factoring it into our airlift negotiations. When we're trying to get airlift, the airlines want to know, what are your occupancies like, what are your visitor arrivals like, and so on.
Mr. Comita says governments can assist in leveling the playing field between hotels and Airbnb accommodations by engaging the sharing economy rather than creating hardship, as some destinations internationally and in the Caribbean are already introducing public-private partnerships, legislation, and even fines to bring the sharing economy into the formal one.
They should be taxed, no doubt about it. They should be taxed just like any other business. They should have standards that they're required to meet, but they shouldn't be as onerous as ours. So Airbnb believes that. They have no problem with that. So you could tax them tomorrow if you wanted to. But note, when you start talking to them about regulations, you're going to have a different conversation. They should be required to do some data and reporting, just like we are. There should be an avenue for complaints and dispute resolution. And really the biggest challenge for us, if someone has a bad experience in a destination, it's not the destination, it's not the property that gets blamed, it's the destination that gets blamed. So there's reputational damage.
Revelation is the name of the last book of the Holy Bible, but it is also the stage name of a budding artist, Jason Williams. While he was born in the St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands, the BVI is home, as it is where he got his first break to perform on stage as an artist. Now big things are happening for him, and Kathy Riches tells us more.
So if you see her, tell her I'm sorry. If I can't have you, I want nobody.
Well, right now is all about Like Yesterday, my new single. I finally tapped into the international charts with this single here that I have released. And it's a love song.
A love song that has been receiving thousands of likes for reasons more than one.
This song is actually a new song that was created in the beginning of 2016, and it's about it's about relationships, you know what I mean, and when people do wrong in relationships and they're sincerely apologetic for it.
His true name is Jason Williams and is one known in the BVI as Homeboy. His career in the music industry took off with a pace recently after one trip to the world's capital of reggae music, Jamaica.
I always have to send a big shout out to Pressure Busspipe because he introduced me to a lot of people in the business that I really needed to know, you know what I mean, for my music to propel to the place where I needed it to be. And Sean Folks, Lewis Folks, that's the manager, and I don't know half of how the things work, but I know we went to Jamaica and we started working with Irie FM, Ellis Kelly and these type of people. Hits 96 pick it up, and we start get so much heavy rotation in Jamaica with this single, and people gravitate to it real good, man. It was so real to me. I've been doing reggae music since 2003. You know, we at JTV, Leroy could tell you. I'm the first, that's why I'm very happy to do this interview, because Jafix is the first set of people that put me on a stage.
Yes?
Yeah, right here in Tatola.
Yes, indeed. Now this promising artist is heading to Europe for his first international tour in June of this year.
We're going to be leaving in the first week of July. As I mean, to my knowledge, and it's gonna be some big festivals. I'm talking like 20 to 30,000 people in each festival, and I'm very excited. I'm just very excited to go out there and just sing. I want to do my best. Like you said, I got a little belly, so I'm about to start working out a little more. I gotta start working out and jogging and build up my respiratory, because when it comes to stage shows, I always want to give my best performance, like all the time. I want to sound just like how my CD sound. That's what makes an artist to me.
As much as he looks forward to his first tour to Europe, Williams promises to be back in the British Virgin Islands, especially to perform on stage at the 2017 Emancipation Festivals.
So if you see her, tell her I'm sorry.
For JTV News, Kathy Richards.
Still to come on JTV News, in the big story, cutting the cost of doing business in the BVI. But first up are the news making headlines in the Caribbean.
Here in the Virgin Islands, we are blessed to live and work in paradise. Paradise just doesn't mean our tranquil blue waters and green hills. National Bank of the Virgin Islands defines paradise as any place or condition that fulfills your aspirations. To me, paradise means knowing that I will have a financing partner when I'm ready to open my first business. I feel confident that I can manage whatever life throws my way because I know my bank will be with me every step of the way. That's why I choose National Bank of the Virgin Islands, the official bank of paradise.
My future's looking so bright, 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 with the official bank of paradise,
National Bank of the Virgin Islands, the official bank of paradise.
A New York family remain missing as authorities scour the Bahamas for the twin-engine aircraft with which air traffic control lost contact on Monday as it traveled from Puerto Rico to Florida. A Twitter post from the U.S. Coast Guard confirmed that components of an MU-2B aircraft, including an oil slick, were recovered in the search area east of the Bahamian island of Eleuthera on Tuesday afternoon. So far, there has been no confirmation if the debris are from the missing plane. The government of Antigua and Barbuda has backpedaled on discussions with a gun manufacturer to set up shop in the Twin Island after public backlash. Prime Minister Gaston Brown was compelled to issue a statement to calm growing disquiet regarding the proposal by an Italian handgun manufacturer. In that statement, Prime Minister Brown said there had been no formal decision by cabinet to establish a gun factory, only an informal undertaking, and this occurred while he was off island. The Antiguan Prime Minister said he was later told that the guns would be manufactured for export only, but thought it a bad idea, and having heard the public sentiments, he directed the Attorney General to cease any further negotiations or discussions regarding the proposed investment. And Caymanians will head to the polls on May 24 to elect a new government to run the country for the next 4 years. They will choose between the ruling People's Progressive Movement led by Alden McLaughlin, who says he's confident of victory, and the opposition led by McKeever Bush, and several independent candidates vying for the 19 constituencies. Nearly 5%, or over 500 people reported to be eligible to vote early, will do so on Tuesday. Coming up on JTV News, the big story, we find out why local businesses are finding it difficult to be competitive.
This is us. This is how we work. This is how we play. This is how we live. This is how we flow.
If you're looking for extra savings and free benefits
with car insurance
and
home insurance,
Colonial has just the cover you need.
there's a free $250 gift voucher for new home insurance customers too. And 10% car insurance discount if you have home insurance.
With a claim service that's quick and friendly.
We call it cover without added costs.
Call for a quote on 494-8450 or Virgin Gorda 495-6403 or visit cgigroup.com.
Colonial, where people come first.
Welcome to TAA. We provide 24-hour roadside assistance on Tortola. We help provide freedom and peace of mind to our members throughout the island. TAA has you covered for all kinds of roadside problems, from minor mechanical first aid to helping you change your tire. TAA provides access to an impressive and ever-expanding range of innovative and reliable services that allow you to drive with confidence. Membership starts at just $99 per year. TAA offers exceptional emergency roadside service and repair. Contact us today to find out how you can become a member. Becoming a member is simple and easy. Apply online today at taaroadside.com. Tortola Automobile Association. Safety on the road.
Welcome back to JTV News. In this week's Big Story, Vice President of the BVI CCHA, Chauncey Klein, sits with me as we examine the challenges of doing business in the BVI. The cost of doing business in the BVI has been a long-standing complaint. Are the voices being heard? And if not, why? On the Big Story today is the Vice President of the Hospitality at the BVI CCHA, Chauncey Klein, and she's going to help us understand what's at the core of these concerns. Recently, the chairman of the BVI CCA appealed for a public-private task force to tackle the heart of this cost of doing business problem in the BVI. What exactly are these challenges that businesses in the BVI have been facing for some time now?
Well, definitely from the hospitality perspective, the tourism industry, we recognize over the past year and a half there has been an onslaught of new fees, proposed increases, and as you began to add it up, we recognize, is this sustainable? We recognize also that there's been an effort by government to generate more revenue. But the question is, do we generate more revenue or do we become more relevant? And so the BVI CCHA hospitality industry has been convening because we recognize over the past year and a half there's been about six new efforts to increase those fees. For example, we've had, of course, NHI, of course we have pension, we have payroll tax, but as of late, the hotel accommodation tax, which went into effect in February. We've had the alcohol and tobacco tax, that was also increased in June of last year. There is a proposed fee that's coming up with the amendment of the Liquor License Act. There's also an additional fee proposed for the new cruising permit fee and also the trade and license fee.
And then there's the environmental levy that's also
and
coming.
the environmental levy. So again, in some form or fashion, that has an implication on our industry. And what we're saying is not only why, but the timing, not only the measure of it, but the timing of it. I'm quite sure you're aware in doing business, there's planning, there are budgets, and you plan accordingly. And what we're saying as a hospitality industry with all of these fees, what overall is the master plan for tourism? As we've been speaking over the past few months, tourism is everybody's business, but what is the long range plan for the industry? Without a plan, how can the people follow? And then with all of these revenues, how will they be spent? And I'm just not clear as an industry if we've heard the government articulate how these funds will help to improve the overall forecast and outlook for our industry. So there are many concerns. I wish we had time to drill down even with the work permit increase. So there are layers and layers of concerns. And so the question is, when do we come together and began to understand how we really position the territory to be a vibrant tourism industry? Many of the persons in the hospitality industry are crying out about the industry has taken a hit this year. We are ending up our peak season, and many of us are feeling the effects that the economy is not as strong as is being purported. So we do have some concerns, and I think now is the time to make sure that we come together and begin to understand how we move forward.
All right, you raised two major issues that I want to delve into shortly, that of the master plan and the work permit situation.
Yes.
But many persons will say, listen, this is a government one, and it's a government of a very small territory. So how else do you expect the government to make money if not to tax the businesses that do exist? So since it is, I'm sure it is that the BVI-CCHA isn't saying don't tax and don't charge fees, but the how is it that the BVI-CCHA, and particularly from your standpoint, from the hospitality sector, would prefer that the government goes about this so that it not only benefits their coffers, but the businesses are incentivized and not just incentivized, but are able to compete effectively and efficiently?
Very important question. Number one, you can't talk revenue without talking cost, all right? And in any smart business, you look at not only how you're going to generate revenue, but how are you going to reduce costs. And I don't think government has articulated on their side, you know, how will costs be reduced in order to improve efficiency. You can grow and grow to a size where you're trying to meet and match, you know, the need. But the question becomes, when you realize you've grown bigger than you need to be, you have to also make some choices in terms of cutting costs. So again, the industry is not against generating revenue, but that revenue should be in concert with a long-range plan. How will these funds be reinvested in the industry? And I think that's the conversation that has not been had with the industry. Maybe those discussions are happening at the governmental level, but they're not happening. And then the second question is the measure. Okay, how do you decide that you increase work permit fees by 200%? Okay, and how do you decide when it is best appropriate to implement those fees based on the impact that it will have not only on the business but on the people? Because we are the economy. I mean, when you look at the small and medium-sized businesses, we are the heartbeat of the economy. And if cost is increasing, then we have to decide, where do we cut first? Do we cut people? Do we cut service? And we know service is a challenge in the territory. So how do we market the destination? So all of those factors are implications when you make a decision around increasing fees and taxes.
Let's stick with this work permit fee issue for a little bit, because I understand that there are some resorts who have even gone as far as seeking to petition the government regarding this work permit system. The minister said that shortly after the announcement that it's now being reviewed, but reviewed with a view to what exactly? What exactly does the business sector want the minister to come back to them with that will be palatable?
I believe that the initial consultation, there was another structure proposed. And I do believe they did hear us that that structure proposed was just not, it was not comprehensive in scope. It did not reflect the various industries in terms of what had been purported. So they came back with a more progressive scheme, which I believe and the industry believe it needs more work. So let's not hastily implement something that has not been well thought out, analyzed. So we proposed a working group. And this working group, the stakeholders group, would sit with government and began to flesh through what's a palatable approach, what should be the true measure of that approach, and the timing of that approach. And that's good government. Good government listens. And we recognize that everything rises and falls on leadership. So good leadership says, you know what, yes, we need to take this measure, but let's hold up. Let's make sure it's well thought out and that we have buy-in from the people that it will impact.
All right, let's go to this master plan.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with other countries having a master plan to guide their tourism sectors. And so I know that this is a big deal and a good deal. How on earth it is that the BVI can have the tourism sector as one of the key pillars of its economy and there not be a master plan?
Well, we're raising the same question. We've sent letters to the Premier, and we also sent letters to the BVI Tours Board, who did respond, and we've had some discussions. Listen, this is a sense of urgency. We have to decide who we want to become. How relevant do we want to become? And how does tourism touch every sector of the economy? Tourism is about tour operators, taxi drivers, it's about restaurants, it's about hotel villas. It touches education, the workforce. So what we're proposing is let's take a phase approach to developing a master plan, which is an action plan. It's not a plan designed to put on a shelf. It's applying to work the vision. So once we have a vision of who we want to become, then we began to connect the dots. And so what we're saying to government, we want to work with you to connect the dots. And so we are meeting next week to continue to champion the cause, because we have to understand what's going to be the true pillar of tourism. Is it cruise ship tourism? I hope not. Will it be yachting?
Cuba is coming up.
Listen, absolutely. So I believe we need to continue to diversify the product and work smarter. And I think we can do that together.
And what's one of the big, I know that there are a lot of areas for diversification because you spoke about some of them.
Yes.
But at that recent BVI CCHA luncheon, two key areas were highlighted. One, you spoke about the workforce crisis that exists in the BVI, that the BVI CCHA is working with the relevant parties to improve. And then there's the issue of Airbnb, which your guest speaker spoke of. It shouldn't be looked at as a threat, but more of as an opportunity for collaboration or for revenue in order to expand the industry. So tell me how the BVI CCHA is seeking to get those two woven in.
Well, interesting enough, just yesterday, the VI consortium paper ran an article where Airbnb and the government had just reached a deal where they will now be taxing those properties that list through them and actually book through them. That's revenue. So according to the speaker, Frank Comito from CHTA, he said we have about 600 properties right now in the BVI that's not sharing in the burden. So we have an opportunity, I believe it's a true opportunity, to help generate revenue through that stream and to lessen the burden on the faithful ones who continue to feed into that revenue collection system. So that's one. Secondly, the second measure you talked about in terms of workforce. We are getting ready to convene a workforce roundtable because it is essential and critical that we have a workforce that's viable with skills that can offer the level of service that our visitors expect. You cannot squeeze blood out of a turnip if the blood ain't there, you know. So our goal is, I use that analogy just to say, we believe we do have some great potential workforce here, but how do we grow it? How do we educate it? How do we infuse the kind of resources that are necessary to help us to compete with Cuba and all the other destinations that are and do have a strategy within their economic plan for workforce development?
All right, and with that, we have to end it right there on the big story. That's as much as we have time for. Thank you very much for joining me, Chauncey, and I do look forward to speaking to you again in the future more about this and other issues.
Thank you.
That's it for this week on The Big Story. Remember, check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and of course on jtvlive.net. In Hot Trends with Sophie B, it's all about the upcoming Jazz and Style Festival at Tortola Pier Park.
For all those out there who love jazz music, we have a big jazz festival that's going to take place at the Tortola Pier Park. And in the studios right about now, we have the lovely Meslin of the Tortola Pier Park. How are you doing?
Hi, Sophie. I'm good. How are you?
I am well. Good to have you back in the studios.
Yes, I'm happy to be back, and I'm very excited about our Jazz and Style Festival coming next weekend.
Next weekend, and that's May 26th to May 27th.
Yes, that's May 26th to May 27th.
Okay, so before we get deep into the festival, why did you guys decide to hold a jazz festival at the Pier Park?
Well, you know, we've been now officially open for a little over a year now. And, you know, I think we finally got our rhythm. We have about 65 businesses that are currently operational. Wow. The facility is more in a finished state. And, you know, we find that people just like to come and hang out and enjoy the overall ambience of the facility. So with that being said, we wanted to create a signature event that would, you know, be something that we hold annually and that persons can come and enjoy music and musical entertainment, not just on a local platform, platform, but on an international platform. And
Right.
we also wanted to showcase all of our brilliant and talented local artists that we have here in the
Yes.
BVI as well.
Because you know what, we have jazz festivals throughout the Caribbean.
Yes.
This is, I think, the first that I've heard of a jazz festival in Tortola, in the BVI.
Yeah, we actually have a jazz and style.
Jazz and style. So yes, so you're unique, jazz and
Yes,
style.
yes.
Okay.
And you know, we're a shopping facility, so it was only, it only made sense for us to include that style element. So, you know, we can incorporate all the different clothing and accessories and jewelries and everything we have available at the Pier Park
Right.
and intertwine it into the overall event for
Okay.
the facility.
So does that mean that the stores are going to be open throughout the festival?
The stores are going to be open throughout the festival. The stores are going to be open late. The stores are very excited. It will be a fantastic fashion show, lovely runway show. So, you know, we are really excited about it. We have supermodel Naima Mora that will be taking the stage.
Okay.
So I think everyone should come out. It'll be a great event. Doors open at 4 p.m.
4 p.m. Okay, so not only Miss Supermodel, Miss Thang, you guys have a fantastic lineup of entertainment. When I saw the flyer, I was like, shut the front door. I was like, wow. So
Yes.
for the first one, this is a great lineup, great kickoff. Tell us about the lineup for the Jazz Festival.
Well, for the lineup, we have some great entertainers. I know when we went to the USVI and promoted the festival, people were like, wait, what? I want to see Morgan Heritage. I want to see Dean Fraser. So it's really exciting. We have, as I said, Morgan Heritage, Dean Fraser. We have Etienne, Charles and Creole Soul. We also have Famanapi, wow, Ole Tunji.
Ola Tunja. Ule, ule, ule. Okay, yeah.
So we have some great, we have a great mixture, and you know, of course, our main focus is the jazz element. We wanted to create this nice adult event for persons to come out. That's why we're starting nice and early. We're finishing by 12 a.m. And you know, it'll just be a really great, captivating event for persons just to come and hang out. And
now, I rep my VI boys. I rep for the VI all day, every day.
Yes,
now
absolutely.
my boys, tell me about my VI boys.
Right, so we have very popular locally and probably regionally. We have Dalen Vanterpool and Kamau Georges that'll be rocking the stage. I think they're just about on
the
that
same
international,
level.
absolutely.
Yes, of course.
And then we also have Jeremy Vanterpool, which is rather good. Actually, I think he's up there with Dalen and Kamau. Actually, he was in my class. You know, we went to school. We graduated together. But you know, we have them. We have HLSCC Stingray Singers. Yeah, people love them, and I think they'll add such a great element to the overall event.
Well, thank you so much, Meslin, for passing through and filling us in. I think it's going to be a wonderful weekend. I'm pumped.
I think so. I know.
I'm pumped.
So if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, everybody needs to go out and get their tickets to be a part of this great event. I think it'll be really awesome.
Yes.
And we look forward to seeing you guys and everyone there.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Make sure you get your tickets early and don't miss the Jazz and Style Festival at the Tortola Pier Park, ladies and gentlemen, May 26th to the 27th, but they're kicking it off a little early, just a little teaser, starting from the Wednesday, all right? And they're taking it on over to the Sunday, so you can't afford to miss it.
You can check out Hot Trends every Wednesday and Friday at 8 p.m. on JTV Channel 55, as well as on our YouTube page. Up next in our Medical Minute, Dr. Geronimo Jones tells us how it is possible to kick the smoking habit successfully. The Mayo Clinic Medical Report is next.
Eureka, located in the British Virgin Islands. Come, discover Eureka Medical Clinic, which provides the most complete medical services in the Virgin Islands. Our state-of-the-art clinic offers the highest quality in specialty care, cardiology, gastroenterology, orthopedics, and spinal surgery. We also offer specialty care in obstetrics and gynecology, as well as dermatology. Eureka Medical Clinic offers diagnostic procedures such as x-rays, mammograms, CAT scans, and all forms of ultrasound exams. Now, for the first time in the BVI, Eureka offers MRI scanning too. With colonoscopy and gastroscopy, we check the intestines and stomach for polyps, colon cancer, and ulcers too. Located at Geneva Place in the heart of Road Town, Eureka Medical Clinic with Medicare Pharmacy and Labs offers you a comprehensive medical facility all under one roof. So for high-quality medical services and convenience, there's no need to look any further. Eureka, you found it.
You win the lottery? Yep, even better. I'm an investor. I insured my vehicle with Premier Insurance Limited. What's that? That insurance company, correction. My insurance company. We are multifaceted. Vehicle breaks down, we provide roadside assistance. We do it all. We make handling of these matters easy for our clientele. From vehicle rental, to parts at below cost, to body work and maintenance. We do it all. Captain, where you going?
I gotta change my insurance. I want to be an investor too.
Quality services and better benefits. Shares available to policyholders after 3 years. Zero deductible for third party. Free roadside assistance with policy. Discounts for government employees. Special rates for drivers under 23 and older. For more information, contact Premier Insurance Limited at 284-495-6800 or stop by our office located at the Sunday Morning Row, Chevelle Center, for a policy that's easy to swallow.
Tobacco kills around 6 million people each year, according to the World Health Organization. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention says nearly 500,000 Americans are among those who die from cigarette smoking. It remains the #1 preventable cause of death in the world, says Dr. J. Taylor Hayes, director of the Mayo Clinic Tobacco Dependency Clinic in Rochester. Unless something changes, estimates are, in this century, we will see 1 billion deaths. But people are finding ways to quit, and Mayo Clinic is helping them do it. The Mayo Clinic Nicotine Dependence Center was one of the first centers in the country to focus exclusively on treatments for tobacco dependence. The center's model of care has now become the standard in many medical centers around the U.S. We're a comprehensive treatment center, explains Dr. Hayes. We see people in the clinic and patients in the hospital at the bedside, and we have a residential program where we offer 8-day intensive treatment program. In this Mayo Clinic Minute, reporter Jeff Olson speaks with Dr. Hayes about the strategies used to help smokers to kick their habit.
For smokers who can't stop lighting up, Mayo Clinic works to be the light at the end of the tunnel.
Our mission is to give them hope for a life free of tobacco.
Dr. J. Taylor Hayes is the director of Mayo Clinic's Nicotine Dependence Center in Rochester, where more than 50,000 smokers have already been given tools to tackle their habit.
No one is the same, right? Everyone has some different aspects of their life that will make it harder or easier to quit. We do know what works.
Dr. Hayes says what works is a combination of approaches, including medication, behavioral therapies, and relapse prevention strategies.
We use medications to help reduce withdrawal and urges to smoke because we know that that will allow people to do the behavioral work. And the basics that they need are to start changing thoughts surrounding the use of tobacco, start changing behaviors and habits that have been very ingrained.
If given the right set of tools, their behaviors and habits that Dr. Hayes says can be snuffed out once and for all. For the Mayo Clinic News Network, I'm Jeff Olson.
Before we go, a brief look at the main headlines. Bank of Asia founder and chairman Carson Wen tells Bloomberg News the Bank of Asia BVI, an online financial institution, will be up and running this year to counter the correspondent banking stonewall. The government has announced the appointment of Phil Sharman, the statutory chief auditor for the UK Overseas Territory of St. Helena, as the BVI's new Auditor General effective August. CEO of the Caribbean Hotel and Tourism Association says Airbnb offers more opportunities than threats for the BVI's accommodation sector and the economy. Miss BVI World, and Miss Universe pageants merge to cut costs. The big story, BVI CCHA pushes for government action to to help local businesses become more competitive both locally and internationally. In regional news, massive search on for New York family whose plane went missing over the Bahamas. Antigua and Barbuda Prime Minister rejects proposal by Italian gun manufacturer for refactoring the country after public uproar. And Caymanians to vote in general elections on May 24. Now, just a reminder that you can find all the news stories featured in this newscast, as well as previous newscasts on our website jtvlive.net. Additional information and news updates can be found on our Facebook page, facebook.com/JTV55. If you haven't already, please visit the Facebook page to let us know that you like us. Of course, all our news features, press conferences, and JTV's television programs can be found on our JTV News YouTube channel. Subscribe for daily uploads. We welcome your questions and comments and story ideas. Email us at jtvnews@hotmail.com. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Peter Gay Coombs. Thank you for watching.